Welcome to Wikipedia Reviewed, the only show on YouTube that doesn't just read you the Wikipedia articles, we review them. And as always, every article is reviewed on a very scientific system where they're scored upon factualityness, comprehensiveness, and most importantly, vibes. So with that out of the way, let's get into the watermelon riot. The watermelon riot occurred on the evening of April 15, 1856 in Panama City, then the capital of Panama State, in the Republic of New Granada, after an American took a slice of watermelon from a street vendor and refused to pay for it. A verbal altercation ensued that quickly escalated when shots were fired. This is a very American event so far. Good on you, America. You're always the same, aren't you? An angry mob of locals converged on the site and began fighting with the Americans. Before order could be restored, at least 15 Americans and 2 Panamanians were killed. American businesses, including the railroad station, were extensively damaged or destroyed. You know, at least more Americans died, I guess. That's not really a positive. You don't really want anyone dying, honestly. Some kind of justice, I guess. No, why are 17 fucking people dying because you didn't pay for a piece of a watermelon? What could he have said that would have led to the death of 17 different people? This man must have invoked some ancient fucking curses on him. All right, so we got some art for it. First thing that jumps out to me is this Charlie Chaplin-like child over there. I don't know why they're all in one group and not paying for a piece of a watermelon if they got fancy ass clothes. Would that be in 1800s money? Like a penny? You really don't have a penny when you're in Panama. Fucking Americans. I love my country. Throughout the 19th century, the United States' involvement in the Isthmus of Panama increased as it became the most convenient area in Central America for quick transoceanic transit. U.S. expansion westward accelerated after the Mexican-American War and the California Gold Rush, and transiting the Isthmus provided faster access to the Pacific during a time that crossing American Midwest and Western regions was difficult and often dangerous. This led to recurrent negotiations between the governments of the new Republic of Granada, of which Panama was a part, and the U.S. The focus of these early negotiations was on the rights and protections concerning the free transfer of goods and people through the Isthmus. The most important treaty resulting from these negotiations was the Mallarino-Bidlack Treaty of 1846, in which the Republic of New Granada recognized that the United States could intervene to guarantee the neutrality of the Isthmus. Okay, so this is like that whole Monroe Doctrine. Is that at the same time? Is this related? I don't really know. That's what I remember learning about in school. This clause, originally meant to protect against foreign control over the Isthmus, was eventually interpreted to permit U.S. interventions to protect American interests against any dangers resulting from local disturbances or the many civil wars that plagued New Granada. Ooh, and the many civil wars is highlighted. I want to check that out. Ooh, shit, War of the Supremes. That's fucking insane. Is there civil war from 1839 to 42 caused by the ambitions of various local regional powers? You know, I gotta be honest, I don't know a lot about the War of the Supremes in the Republic of New Granada. This seems like it'd be cool to learn about. Everyone read about it, and maybe me do a video later on it. Causes of the war. Hold on, I want to see what the cause of the war was real quick. It's because there were some monks from Ecuador who didn't like that their monasteries were being closed, and instead they decided, hey, let's actually do public education. So Ecuadorian monks causing a civil war that escalated because they wanted to open up public schools. That's an interesting war. I want to read more into that later. Until the construction of the Panama Canal, the United States' main concern of the Isthmus was protection of the Panama Railway that was completed in 1855. Didn't know we had a railway down there. I'm sorry that we don't got a bunch of New Granada heads over in this house. You know, sorry that we're not all versed in the history of New Granada like all the cool kids are. Prior to the completion of the railroad, The local economy was dependent on the transport of goods and passengers via riverboats and mule trains. The railroad caused severe economic dislocation for many Panamanians who were involved in the business. The loss of their livelihoods caused resentment against the railroad and Americans in general. Okay, so this sounds like a railroad where they didn't really do the best planning of it for the local people, or, who would actually be working there and living there. Hey, this seems best on paper for us. Let's run with that and not think about the long-term consequences at all. Just gonna screw you. Oops. And now we're onto this riot itself, now that we got that important train context. On the afternoon of April 15th, 1856, a train arrived in Panama City carrying 1,000 California-bound passengers, including a sizable minority of women and children. How are you getting to California? Have they not built a train across at this time? Because it doesn't make it sound like that. It makes it sound like it's a railroad all the way there, which would be really cool and really fun. But I don't know if they were taking that much Tylenol back then. The low tide at the time of their arrival prevented them from immediately boarding the U.S. steamship. John L. Stevens scheduled to leave for San Francisco once passengers and goods were loaded. Okay, so it is a boat. That makes more sense. So you just boat on down, you get across, and then you boat on up. That sounds cool. I'd do that trip now. Donate $5,000 to see me go and do this trip. I will instantly drop everything and go and do this. While waiting for the tide to rise, a number of passengers explored the surrounding areas of La Ciénaga, a poor neighborhood that was home to freed slaves, laborers, artisans, and new immigrants. Sounds like a cool neighborhood. The incident started around 6 p.m. when a group of 3 or 4 American passengers confronted a fruit vendor, Jose Manuel Luna, near the train station. One of the passengers, possibly named Jack Oliver, took a slice of watermelon, then refused to pay for it. After a verbal exchange, the guy pulled out a fucking gun and the vendor pulls out a fucking knife. Okay. One of the other passengers stepped in and paid Luna for the fruit. How does this lead to a riot then? The fruit was paid for! Miguel Hebranon dashed out from a gathering crowd of locals, wrestled the gun from Oliver, and ran into the surrounding neighborhood. I mean, that sounds like a solid plan enough. Yeah, taking his gun doesn't seem like it's the worst idea, I gotta be honest. Shortly afterward, hundreds of men armed with machetes, stones, and other weapons gathered and began fighting with the Americans who fought back with their guns and other weapons. Whoa, 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 wait, we went from this man took the gun to there is a full-blown fucking riot going on between these two groups. How did that escalate like that? Initial fighting was focused around the American-owned business La Ciénaga. Within a few hours, the Pacific House, the Ocean Hotel, and McAllister's store were totally destroyed. I mean, it makes sense if tensions are high and everything. After a brief lull in the violence, a second outburst erupted against the railroad station where most of the Americans had fled. This time, the mob was joined by the Panama City Police, who attempted to gain control of the situation, but were then ordered by the acting governor to attack it. I guess they wanted to seize control and thought that'd be a good time. I mean, I get it, but at the same time, guys, this seems risky. You may just accomplish nothing with just killing people. I don't know. Most of the fatalities that night occurred once the police and mob had fought their way into the building. The railroad station was destroyed, sections of the railroad tracks were torn up, and telegraph lines were severed. The violence in and around the station ended around dawn. The U.S. Consul at Panama City reported that 15 Americans had been killed, and at least 50 more were wounded in the melee. In addition, 2 Panamanians were killed and another 13 wounded. Fuck this original guy, really. And the people who fucked over the Panamanians by building the railroad this way. In the aftermath of the riot, both countries initiated investigations to determine the cause. The United States appointed Amos Corwine to prepare a report for the State Department. That's a wild last name. Corwine was a former U.S. consul in Panama City, and his brother worked for the Pacific Mail Steamship Company which had substantial business interest in Panama. Nice, love to see some corruption in this. And hey, what do you know? His report blamed the guy who had stolen the gun. Yeah, and he also said that, yeah, the local people there, they were working with the officials in Panama to coordinate this whole thing as a premeditated attack. Nice little corrupt piece of shit, really fucking American. Hell yeah. The investigation on behalf of Nueva Granada was led by Leon de Pombo, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, and Florentino Gonzalez. Their report called the riot a spontaneous uprising triggered by Oliver and exacerbated by the previous abuse from the Americans, which is exactly what it actually sounds like happened. They also pointed to the presence of American filibusters in Panama City and recent job losses accompanying the completion of the railroad as contributing factors. They denied any premeditation or working with the officials. Corwin recommended in his report the immediate occupation of the isthmus. On September 19th, a detachment of 160 soldiers took possession of the railway station. Whose soldiers are they? Are they the local ones? That would make sense. The city was calm, and 3 days later, the troops moved back without having fired a single shot. According to the US, the brief occupation was justified under Article 35 of the Marlarino-Badlick Agreement and safeguard the neutrality and free transit of the isthmus. So they were US troops then. Ultimately, this proved to be just the first of several US interventions in Panama. The United States sought reparations from New Granada for damages and losses suffered during the riot. The resulting Cas-Haran Treaty was ratified in 1858. New Granada acknowledged liability for its failure to maintain peace. Don't be bitches like that, come on! A commission was established to review claims, and some $500,000 was awarded to the US citizens seeking damages? No, you shouldn't be giving these people money at all for this. Give the guy who was selling the watermelon the money. What did he do? Where's his reward? And all of the notes just look to be citations, so that's cool. I don't know why they're not inline normal ones. What about the references? Ooh, wow, that's a small number of references. What do we have? But they all appear to be pretty damn high quality and kind of academic seeming. So that's fucking fire as shit. And I mean, the talk pages look pretty settled. Most of the shit in here, really old. And it seems like I didn't notice any big issues with it. It's time to actually get into the review here. So we're gonna start off with factualityness. And I gotta say, just leaving off on those actually academic seeming articles, I really like that. I didn't feel like throughout the whole thing there were parts where I was like, that seems really weird and I doubt this. So honestly, for factualityness, I gotta score this. A watermelon slice sold by an honest and trustworthy vendor who will defend his home. You can tell what you're getting. You know you're not getting any kind of bullshit. You're not getting screwed over. You can see the fucking watermelon slice. You know how much it costs. He's not gonna screw you on it. I think that covers that. So obviously, it's now time to move on to comprehensiveness. And I gotta say, I feel like this was a very well laid out article. I like the progression of things. I think the railroad, it provided the necessary context. I maybe would have liked a little bit more context about losing of jobs and the kind of tensions between them as well. I don't know if there were any other kinds of tensions, but that'd be something I would love to know about. Overall, I mean, I really like the layout of this article. I feel like things happened at the right time and it was all solid. I give it a Panama report of the watermelon riot out of an American report. And now lastly, for vibes. And I gotta be honest, the vibes of this one, they were like going through an American history class where you hear about things and just the more you hear, you keep going, yeah, that's us. That's definitely us. Sorry, Panama. Should have probably been cool about this. Probably should have made you guys pay $500,000. Our bad. I wonder if we've learned from our mistakes. From the stealing to pulling a gun on someone to making someone else pay for the damages that we caused. to foreign interventions, to claiming control of areas that aren't ours. Yeah, very America-pilled. You know, USA #1 for sure. So, as always, thank you so much for watching. Go and check out my other videos. Check out the one on the Great Moon Hoax, and then check out the Michigan pizza funeral. If you want a real fucking good time, a long video, why don't you go ahead and check out my video on Antiquarian Archive on the Berserker. It's a fucking insane watch. Bye!